Good morning, and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Society of Albany. My name is Reverend Sam Trumbore, and I serve as minister of this congregation. Before we begin, for those on Zoom, please check to make sure your microphone is muted. You can also turn your camera off if your image is potentially distracting. Please also be mindful of your speech while on Zoom, as microphones can accidentally get unmuted. This will minimize any disruption in our service. You'll also notice closed captioning at the bottom of your screen. If you'd like to turn that off or on, find the CC option on your Zoom toolbar and select the up arrow to access it. Thanks so much for your cooperation. If you enjoy poetry, you came to the right service this morning. I begin with a very familiar Robert Frost poem, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. May we linger a little longer this morning before fulfilling the promises we have to keep in this busy holiday season, to dwell with the lovely, dark, and deep spiritual woods, and allow ourselves to access to the joy of easy wind and downy flake as we join together in the celebration of life. Our prelude this morning is Gaudiamus Hodie by Natalie Sleeth, and the musicians are Albany UU Virtual Choir. Let us join together in our chalice lighting, which you can see on the screen. Welcoming. Once we get our chalice going there. All right. Welcoming all free seekers of truth and meaning, we gather to excite the human spirit, to inspire its growth and development, to respond morally and ethically to a troubled world, and to sustain a vital and nurturing religious community. And let us sing together quietly. Voice Still and Small by John Corrado, song leader and producer Chris Watkins Lamb.
tell you about the tiger and the strawberry. Once there was a wise woman who every evening after dinner went for a stroll just to wind down the day. And on this one particular evening, as she was walking, she heard behind her a low, unfortunately familiar growl. It was the sound of a tiger that had caught her scent and was crouching, preparing to pounce. The woman didn't waste a second. She immediately began running for her life in the opposite direction, but she knew also towards the cliff. She had no choice. She had to get away. And as she dove over the side, at the last second, she was able to grasp a root that was hanging from the cliff. Up above, she could see the tiger just as it swiped its paw and tried to grab her. She was able to duck out of the way. But the tiger paced back and forth, waiting for her to tire of holding on to this rope. Now, luckily, the woman knew that the fall below was just a few feet. It would hurt, scrape her up, maybe break a bone or two, but it was survivable. So she looked down to find a good spot to land, only to discover that another tiger was pacing the ground beneath her feet. And as she hung there, debating, strategizing, trying to imagine a possible way to escape, a mouse scurried over and began nibbling on the roots that she was holding on to. And in that moment, she noticed that growing out of the side of the cliff, there was a small wild plant with a plump, red, ripe strawberry. So with one hand, she reached over, grabbed it, tasted it, and savored that sweetness. This story reminds us that in any situation, we can be open to joy. It isn't always easy, but it's always available. And this story inspired the song. Trouble above, trouble below, trouble ahead of me. What do you know? Wake up in the morning. What do I find? Trouble is everywhere, but ain't none on my mind. 'Cause I got peace like a river, I got love through the night, I got joy like a fountain, I'm gonna be alright. I've got rhythm and harmony, bringing in me. Love is free, peace is free, joy is free, free, free. Is there strife in the world? Is there strife in the home? Are you feeling a little lost? Are you feeling alone? Waking up at midnight. Do you remember your dreams? Riding raft on a cool, gentle stream. Yes, you have peace like a river, love through the night. You've got joy like a fountain, my dear, you can be alright. 'Cause you've got rhythm and harmony ringing in you, and love Love is true. Love is true. Peace is true. Peace is true. Joy is true. True, true. Whatever way you're looking, there is something there to see. Is it a paradise or prison? Or what do you believe? We can have peace like a river, joy from our souls. We can have love as a beacon, guiding everywhere we go. Let our hearts beat the rhythm, let the anthem we sing be. Love is free, love is free, peace is free, peace is free, joy is free, free, free. Love is free, love is free, peace is free, peace is free, joy is free, free, free.
And we welcome our Facebook viewers to join us this morning. My name is Sam Trumbore, and I serve as minister of this congregation. I have a couple of reflective readings for you this morning on the theme of the joy of winter. The first is A Winter Blue Jay by Sarah Teasdale. Crisply, the bright snow whispered, crunching beneath our feet. Behind us, as we walked along the parkway, our shadows danced. Fantastic shapes in vivid blue. Across the lake, the skaters flew to and fro with sharp turns, weaving a frail, invisible net. In ecstasy, the earth drank the silver sunlight. In ecstasy, the skaters drank the wine of speed. In ecstasy, we laughed, drinking the wine of love. Had not the music of our joy sounded its highest note? But no, for suddenly, with lifted eyes, you said, "Oh, look, there on the black bough of a snow-flecked branch of maple, fearless and gay as our love, a blue jay cocked its crest. Oh, who can tell us the range of joy or set the bounds of beauty?" And this from Billy Collins. Snow Day. Today we woke up to a revolution of snow, its white flag waving over everything. The landscape vanished. Not a single mouse to punctuate the blankness. And beyond these windows, the government buildings smothered. Schools and libraries buried, the post office lost under the noiseless drift. The paths of trains softly blocked. The world fallen under this falling. In a while, I will put on some boots and step out like someone walking in water, and the dog will porpoise through the drifts, and I will shake a laden branch, sending a cold shower down on us both. But for now, I am a willing prisoner in this house, a sympathizer with this anarchic cause of snow. I will make a pot of tea and listen to the plastic radio on the counter as glad as anyone to hear the news that the kitty corner school is closed, the ding-dong school closed, and the all-aboard children's school closed, the hi-ho nursery school closed, along with, some will be delighted to hear, the toadstool school, the little school, Little Sparrow's nursery school, Little Star's preschool, Peas and Carrots day school, the Tom Thumb Child Center, all closed, and clap your hands, the Peanuts play school. So this is where the children hide all day. These are the nests where they letter and draw, where they put on their bright miniature jackets, all darting and climbing and sliding, all but the few girls whispering by the fence. And now I am listening hard in the grandiose silence in the snow, trying to hear what those three girls are plotting, what riot is about, which small queen is about to be brought down. Let us take these words and images and reflections and take our own thoughts and prayers into a time of silent meditation. Al DeSalvo wrote this for me this morning. There is nothing so exhilarating, so peaceful, and so beautiful than being at the top of a mountain on a bright, sunny day in the winter, surrounded by a blanket of freshly fallen snow. The view is breathtaking, a 360-degree panorama of mountains, valleys, villages, streams, and lakes. Everything is so still. Can they be real? The branches of conifer trees, pine, spruce, balsam, all burdened with the weight of new snow. So much snow that they seem to bend into the white ground, their trunks nowhere to be seen. The brilliant sun's rays create a wonderland of sparkles reflecting from the new blanket of snow on the trees and the ground. The clear, deep blue sky enhances the visual feast. It is time. I push forward and begin my descent through unbroken powder. My skis make no sound, respecting the quietness of all that is around me. A rare time of serenity and peace. Thank you, Al, for those words. I'm with you now on that mountain, ready to go. Yet I suspect this mountaintop experience of winter might be the exception rather than the rule for many of us. The more mundane experience of winter many of us encounter is scraping ice and snow off car windshields, fearing black ice as we drive, limited street parking to try to fighting salt corrosion on our vehicles, and a host of other inconveniences. And this year, higher heating costs and gas prices. And let's hope for no dangerous blizzards or extremely low temperatures. These negatives add a level of ambivalence for us Northerners as we experience winter. Those inconveniences can have a cumulative, unfortunate effect of crowding out some of the joy winter can offer. Our theme this month is opening to joy. The key here is the word opening. In the preoccupations common with holiday preparations and activities, it can be easy to miss the simple joys and delights of winter. So today, I encourage you to connect with those winter joys as you hear some short essays from three of our members, Sigrun Newell, Steve Moskowitz, and Darnell Rohrbach. And I'll conclude with a few of my own personal reflections on the joys of winters that I've experienced. I hope that they will help you enter the winter season a little more open to its potential joys. Sigrun writes, "The rope tow was at the core of the Black Hawk County Alps, our jocular name for the hill behind Blair Wood's house. Every November, the men of our neighborhood rigged up a pulley system for the rope. They built a platform at the top of the hill for a gasoline engine that moved the rope. They put small pulleys on the trees to keep the down-going rope off the snow. At the bottom of the hill, they attached a pulley to a giant oak tree. This turned the rope around at the bottom. While the men worked, the rest of us roamed on the hillside beneath the ancient oaks and maples, collecting downed branches and using a whipsaw to cut the tall weeds. We worked willingly. None of us wanted hazards sticking above the snow. The Alps designation was ironic. Surrounded by flat Iowa prairie, our neighborhood was a string of houses spread along a ridge at the top of a river valley. We were the ridge kids. Iowa snows were abundant in the 1950s. We eagerly awaited their arrival. After each new snowfall, we all went out to pack the snow by sidestepping down the hill on our skis. We were finally ready for the first run of the year. On the back hill, the engine turning the rope cable chuddered into life. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Once the rope was moving, though, smoothly, we'd ski down. At the bottom, we'd line up our skis just so, and then grab the rope. For a few seconds, it felt as if the rope would pull your arms out of their sockets. Then your feet would start to slide, and up you would glide. In years of abundant snow, we held the Black Hawk County Alps Ski Festival. Friends from around the state were invited to come out and join us. Skiing was mostly unknown in Iowa back then. Guests stood at the top of the hill and watched ridge kids glide among the trees and tackle the rope tow. Guests could also clamber down to the bottom of the hill and go ice skating on Lake Placid. There was also a ski jump. Visitors could walk along the ridge until they came to the jump built into the woods. It was a wooden platform about 2 stories high. Steps led up to a platform above the treetops. A long ramp led from there down to a flat lip. The jumpers pushed off from the platform, gaining speed down the ramp so they could fly off that flat tip. The hill dropped away beneath them. They landed downhill and kept on gliding until coming to a stop at the bottom. Watching the skiers jump was a high point for our guests at our ski festival. Well, thank you, Sigrid, for those beautiful words. And Steve writes, I'm about to tell you something about myself that you have probably not ever heard before from anyone else. I moved to the Albany area for the weather. Yes, it's true. Growing up on Long Island, I dreaded summers, even though I was off from school, living as much as possible in air conditioning, and getting cabin fever during July and August. While I had the ocean 20 minutes away at Jones Beach, I wanted mountains. I wanted a 3-dimensional landscape. As an adult, I realized that I was looking for someplace cooler in the hot months. I recognize that this is very much against the grain of most of the rest of the world. Then I discovered this area with 3 more weeks of winter and 3 less weeks of summer. Tall mountains, large lakes, and forests galore, and glorious snow in great quantities. Oh, the snow, white gold. Sure, just like everyone else, I don't like shoveling. So now I just pay somebody else to do it. They come early, clearing the driveway so I can get out easily to go skiing. Winter is a quieter, simpler time that allows my mind to contemplate matters with fewer distractions. The shades of black, brown, white, and gray calm me. The world seems to settle down into a more basic mode. At the same time, playing with the landscape and the weather of winter offers me a vast playground when I can be at my most physically active without the heat, humidity, stickiness, bugs, and sweat of the hot months. There are many excellent adventurous skiers, some in this congregation, around as jolly companions on these trips. And that brings me back to the skiing. Tree skiing, that is. This will be my 64th year of skiing. Somewhere along the way, I was getting a little bored with just cruising groomed trails and even banging the bumps and steeps on the trails marked on the resort map. I started skiing in the woods and discovered a whole new dimension to the sport, a dimension of fewer people, total nature, and a place where I had to use every skill developed over the years. I also had to invent many new tricks to maneuver my way around a maze of trees, stumps, rocks, and streams without kissing any wood or getting slapped around. Exhilarating would be the best one-word description of it. Well, Certainly not for everyone. More and more skiers went into the woods as recent ski technology allowed shorter, faster turning skis that are highly responsive to the tree skier's every movement. At the same time, skis like that require a very advanced technique of precision body to ski communication. One bad move at a critical time could lead to rather unpleasant consequences. So, this is how and why I love winter. It's a joyous season. When it's grudgingly over, I start looking forward to the beginning of the next. 7.5 months, but who's counting? Well, thank you, Steve. I expect if I were skiing in the woods, I'd be kissing a lot of bark. And this last bit by Darnell, sharing some of her winter joys. I think about the absolute solitude, beauty, and peace that only snowshoeing through a wilderness area can bring. All of your senses are awakened and overwhelmed with being part of a greater whole. I remember the exhaustion of helping children up sled hills while also weighed down with layers of clothing and rolling off the sled into the wet, cold nip at the bottom. The sharing of hot chocolate from a thermos while sitting in the snow and the cold was as natural a picnic as the ones in July. I loved snow days when school was canceled and felt the same joy as an adult teacher as I felt as a child. I will still listen for the school closings with a giddy kind of glee. I grab a hot drink, pull my rocking chair up to a picture window, sit in my pajamas, and just watch it snow. Thank you, Darnell. As for me, my appreciation for winter comes from deprivation. Growing up in Newark, Delaware, where we rarely had much snow, and when we did get it, it didn't hang around for very long. Living in the San Francisco Bay Area and also in Florida, I was snow deprived. My internship in Rochester, New York, enchanted me with the winter I'd never experienced. Living with and marrying a resident of Buffalo gave me many opportunities to get more acquainted with snow. A visual and auditory experience of snowfall continues to bring me joy. The softness and muffled quality of sound during a snowstorm has a calming effect. Snow piles up on every surface to bring attention to shapes and edges I might not have noticed without the snow whitening them. Tracks in the snow reveal the presence of mysterious, previously unknown residents and visitors of the animal kingdom. The surface of the snow is constantly changing with the winds shaping and the snows glazing it. At other times, without much snow, there is still visual interest. The nakedness of the trees reveals what is hidden behind them, behind the leaves. The ridges of hills become visible. Old abandoned stone fences show up, as do the contours of the land. To the west of our home, we can't see the sunset because of the wall of green in the summer. In the winter, however, the low sun crossing the horizon filters through the branches with orange and yellow colors. The bare branches themselves can become a stage for winter's beauty. The jewel-like refracted light of ice on tree branches makes a spectacular display after an ice storm. Ice, actually, wherever it shows up, is often beautiful. The ability to step off the shore and to begin to walk on ice is always a thrill. Partly a thrill because of the potential risk of falling through. But even if a pond is solidly frozen, it is wondrous to be able to walk on water and look down and see the bottom, maybe even a slow-moving fish. Back on land, there's the visceral pleasure in walking on ice-covered puddles and breaking, even smashing the ice. I can't end this joyful exploration of winter without discussing the pleasurable effects of snow shoveling. Yes, I acknowledge the misery of shoveling heavy, wet snow, especially that wretched stuff the snow plows dump on the end of the driveway. But a light, powdery snow, several inches deep, briskly gathered up and distributed on the lawn without stressing the arms and shoulders or back, and cleaning off the driveway, the sidewalks by the early morning light, can leave one with a joyful feeling of accomplishment. I hope these testimonies to the joys of winter connect with your own experiences and bring a sense of joy just hearing them. I cannot erase the reality that may go with them, such as wet shoes and socks and frozen fingers and toes and, of course, runny noses. These are the nature of existence. The pleasant and the unpleasant intermix. The joys and woes of living are often not under our control. Yet, when those joys are present and available, may we be open to them. May we feed our spirit. May they energize our willingness to share them with each other. So be it.
Good morning. I'm Peggy Sherman, and I'm the Service Associate today. An important way we celebrate life each Sunday is by offering an opportunity to practice generosity. Members and friends support our congregation with an annual pledge paid throughout the year. Another way to support the good work of this congregation is by making a generous contribution as we pass the plate or via one of the options shown on the next slide. If you are joining us virtually, you can click on the tiny URL link in the chat window to contribute, or you can send a text to the number shown on the screen. The examples on the slide show how to label your text to indicate the amount and the purpose or intent of your gift. We now say goodbye to our Facebook viewers. Consider joining us on Zoom next time or visit us in person at 405 Washington Avenue, Albany. You can find more information at albanyuu.org. Our offertory music is What Wondrous Love by William Wolfe, arranged by Jim Scott and performed by Chris Bystroff. We enjoy welcoming guests and visitors to our service. If you'd like to tell us who you are and where you're from, those here in Community Hall should stand or raise your hand Kathy will bring you a microphone so that everyone can hear you. Those joining us on Zoom can click on the raise hand symbol, which you'll find either in the participant window or in the reaction button on your Zoom toolbar.
For all the joys and sorrows that have been shared and all the joys and sorrows left unspoken, let us hold all that we've heard and felt in our hearts as I select one more stone to honor them. This is a favorite poem of mine, and I hope yours too. Welcome Morning by Anne Sexton. There is joy in all, in the hair I brush each morning, in the cannon towel newly washed that I rub my body with each morning, in the chapel of eggs I cook each morning, in the outcry from the kettle that heats my coffee each morning, in the spoon and the chair that cry, "Hello there, Annie," each morning, in the Godhead of the table that I set my silver plate and cup upon each morning. All this is God right here in my pea green house each morning. And I mean, though often forget, to give thanks, to faint down by the kitchen table in a prayer of rejoicing as the holy birds at the kitchen window peck into their marriage of seeds. So while I think of it, let me paint a thank you on my palm for this God, this laughter of the morning, lest it go unspoken. The joy that isn't shared, I've heard, dies young. And a closing song, O Hanukkah, O Hanukkah.
Hanukkah, oh Hanukkah, come remind us of days long ago.
As we extinguish the chalice, please join in the words shown on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And our closing words are from Reverend Joe Cleveland. May we hear the melody of life and find ourselves singing harmony. May we be open to the dissonances in the song of the land and its people, that we might be part of the world's urging towards justice, peace, and love. May we feel in our bones the rhythms of life and the land and find ourselves dancing. And today we thank our musicians, the Albany UU Virtual Choir, Chris Beistroff and Randy Rosette, our ushers, Kristen Abbas, Annika Pfluger, Kathy Harris, and Chuck Manning, our pastoral care associates, Annie Lipinski and Sharon Babala. I'm your service associate. Our welcomers, Amy Lent and Barb Manning. Our greeter was Jean Bolgatz. Office support by Tammy Hathaway and Patience Pichette. Technical support by Chris Jensen and Kate Pierce. And the flowers were arranged by Sigrun Newell and donated by Lisa Barron in loving memory of Kevin Barron, who was the 35-year chair of Albany Med Neurology and a staunch defender of farmland, open space, and wild rivers.